Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the time be for you. My name is James, Jamescape TV, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with James on Countdown to Christmas 2015. So, I am a little bit tired. This is the fourth video I've recorded today, and it'll be the fifth I've edited. So, it's nice to have to sit back and read a little bit more of this really awesome story by Charles Dickens. So, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then let's begin. The same face, the very same. Marley in his pigtail. Usual waistcoat, tights and boots, the tassels on the latter bristling like his pigtail, his coat skirts and the hair upon his head. The chain he drew was clasped about his middle. It was long and wound about him like a tail, and it was made, for Scrooge observed it closely, of broadwise, of the splinter bar toward the wall, and the door toward the balustrade. Of cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, deeds, and heavy purses wrought in steel. His body was transparent, so that Scrooge, observing him and looking through his waistcoat, could see two buttons on his coat behind. Scrooge had often heard it said that Marley had no bows, but he had never believed it until now. No, nor did he believe it even now, though he had looked at the phantom through and through, and saw it standing before him, though he felt the chilling influence of its death cold eyes, and marked the very texture of the folded kerchief bound about its head and chin, which wrapper he had not observed before. He was still incredulous and fought against his senses. "How now?" said Scrooge, caustic and cold as ever. "What do you want of me?" "Much." Marley's voice, no doubt about it. "Who are you?" "Ask me who I was." "Who were you then?" said Scrooge, raising his voice. "You're particular for a shade." He was going to say, to a shade, but substituted this as more appropriate. "In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley." Can you sit down?" asked Scrooge, looking doubtfully at him. "I can." "Do it, then." Scrooge asked a question, because he did not know whether a ghost so transparent might find himself in a condition to take a chair, and felt in the event of its being impossible, it might involve the necessity of an embarrassing explanation. But the ghost sat down on the opposite side of the fireplace, as if he were quite used to it. "You don't believe in me?" observed the ghost. "I don't," said Scrooge. "What evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your own senses?" "I don't know," said Scrooge. "Why do you doubt your senses?" "Because," said Scrooge, "a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of undone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave about you, wherever you are." Scrooge was not much in the habit of cracking jokes, nor did he feel by any means waggish them. The truth is that he tried to be smart, as a means of distracting his own attention and keeping down his terror, for the spectre's voice disturbed the very marrow in his bones. To sit staring at those fixed glazed eyes in silence for a moment would play. Scrooge felt the very deuce of him. There was something very awful too in the spectre's being provided with an infernal atmosphere of his own. Scrooge could not feel it himself, but this was clearly the case, for the ghost sat perfectly motionless. His hair and skirts and tassels were still agitated, as by the hot vapour from an oven. "You see this toothpick?" said Scrooge, turning quickly to the charge, for the reason just assigned, and wishing that it were only for a second to divert the vision's stony gaze from himself. "I do," replied the ghost. "You are not looking at it," said Scrooge. But I see it, said the goat, notwithstanding. Well, returned Scrooge, I have but to swallow this, and be the rest of my days persecuted by a legion of goblins, all my own creation. Humbug, I tell you, humbug. As this spirit raised a frightful cry and shook down his chain with such a dismal and appalling noise, Scrooge held on tight to his chair to save him from falling in this room. But how much greater was his horror when the phantom, taking off his bandage on his head, as if it were two worms were indoors, his lower jaw dropped down upon his breast. Scrooge fell upon his knees and clasped his hands before his face. Mercy, he said, dreadful apparition, why do you trouble me? Man of the worldly mind, replied the ghost. Do you believe in me or not? I do, said Scrooge. I must, but why do spirits walk the earth, and why do they come for me? It is required of every man, the ghost returned, that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men, and travel far and wide, and if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world. Oh, woe is me, and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth, and turn to happiness. Again the spectre raised a cry, and shook his chain, and wrung his shadowy hands. You are fettered, said Scrooge, trembling. Tell me why. I wear the chain I forged in life, replied the ghost. I made it link by link, and yard by yard. I girded on of my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it. Is its pattern strange to you? Scrooge trembled more and more. Or would you know, pursued the ghost, the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was full as heavy and as long as this. 7 Christmas Eves ago, you laboured on it since. It is a ponderous chain. Scrooge himself glanced about him on the floor. In the exception of finding himself surrounded by 50 or 60 phantoms of iron cable. But he could not see nothing. Jacob, he said imploringly. Oh, Jacob Marley, tell me more. Speak comfort to me, Jacob. I have none to give, the ghost replied. It comes from other regions, Ebenezer Scrooge, and is conveyed by other ministers to other lands of men. Nor can I tell you what I would. A very little more is all permitted to me. I cannot rest, I cannot stay, I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond our counting house, mark me. In life, my spirit never rode, because the narrow limits of our money-changing hole, and weary journeys lie before me. It was a habit of Scrooge, whenever he became thoughtful, to put his hands in his breeches pockets, pondering on what the ghost had said. He did so now, but without lifting up his eyes, getting off his seat. You must have been very slow about it, Jacob, Scrooge observed, in a business-like manner, through with humility and deference. Slow? The ghost repeated. 7 years dead, mused Scrooge, and travelling all the time? The whole time, said the ghost. No rest, no peace, incessant torture of remorse. You travel fast, said Scrooge. On the wings of the wind, replied the ghost. You might have got over a great quantity of ground in 7 years. The ghost, on hearing this, set up another cry, and clanked his chain so hideously in the dead silence of the night, that the ward would have been justified in indicting it for a nuisance. So, that is this episode of Storytime with James. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow on another episode of Countdown to Christmas 2015. Bye!